I'm AJ Bianco from Podcast PD, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows in the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hello, empowered principals. Welcome to episode 363.
Welcome to the Empowered Principal Podcast, a not-so-typical educational resource that will teach you how to gain control of your career and get emotionally fit to lead your school and your life with joy by refining your most powerful tool, your mind. Here's your host, certified life coach, Angela Kelly Robeck.
Well, hello, my empowered principals. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the podcast this week. I have a very special treat for you. We have another interview. We're just getting all the interviews on the podcast, and I love it because, as you guys know, I really vet people out. I don't want this to be a big infomercial. I don't want you to feel like you're being solicited to when you listen to this. I want you to come to the Empowered Principal podcast and feel like you're getting your values worth for your time. And today, I definitely have some wonderful ladies here who are going to share some amazing resources with you today, and I'm so excited to have them. I have Andra and Sarah, and they are the founders of the Principal Exchange, and I believe also the Teacher Exchange. Is that correct?
So yes, it's the Principal Exchange, and then our other business is Tailored Education, where you have resources on there specifically for principals to use with teachers.
Yes. Okay. So as you can see, I'm still learning about their services, but we had a little meet and greet last week, a couple weeks ago, and I just fell in love with these ladies. I love the concept. I love what they're doing to support school leaders and to educators across the board. But their work's really fun. I want you to learn about it, hear about it. So I'm going to turn it over to them and let them explain what the Principal Exchange is, how to access it, all the goodies that are inside. And we're going to chat it up because I want you to hear the value that you can walk away with today as a result of the work that they're doing. So welcome to the podcast, ladies.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yes. So introduce yourselves and tell them a little bit about who you are, your background, and what inspired this idea, this concept of the Principal Exchange.
Sure. So this is Andra from the Principal Exchange. And to give you a little background about our educational experience, prior to Tailored Education or the Principal Exchange, we worked in public education as classroom teachers, moving to reading specialists, instructional coaches, ending on the admin team before we decided that we really could have a bigger impact outside of the schools, reaching educators in general across the country. So we started Tailored Education, and Tailored Education supports new teachers, principals. We sell resources to schools. We do professional development. We wrote a book, Bashing Boredom, on student engagement because we felt like that was a big need. And in doing that, we started seeing principals all over as we were visiting schools and building these relationships and seeing what really they struggled with, and that they were kind of isolated and that they didn't have the supports that maybe teachers had through websites and resources and even just the colleagues in their building. And that's kind of what springboarded the thought of the Principal Exchange and getting this started.
Yeah, as we traveled around, we went to all kinds of different places and found that, especially in some of these places that were more landlocked or small districts, it wasn't uncommon for a district to just have an elementary principal, a middle school principal, and then a high school principal. And so there was no form of collaboration. They weren't getting some kind of a curriculum to use. They were juggling all kinds of things, and they were there all hours of every day. And I mean, really, it was just a struggle for them. And we saw that. And so we started to really think about, okay, how can we help solve this problem too? Because we value teachers so much, but we've got to have great school leaders too. And we need to fill their cups too. And so that was really where we started. And we kind of took that idea and ran with it. And it turned into the Principal Exchange. And what that is, it's like a platform. It's a website, kind of an online marketplace, like a Teachers Pay Teachers or Etsy. It's where a bunch of principals have came together and made their little digital mini stores, you could say, where they are uploading resources that are specifically designed for principals. And these resources range from support with classroom management, data trackers, climate and culture builders, really anything you could think of, you can find it there. And they're putting all of that out there as a place for principals to come and find what they need so that they're not having to create it from scratch. They're getting new ideas and they can really save some time and feel like there's some level of support for them too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we also found in doing this, as we were talking with principals, a lot of principals end up having like a second job or feeling like they need something. And we knew that was true maybe of teachers, but we didn't realize how many principals felt that way. So to be a vendor on the page, it's not a way to earn like a huge second income, but at least it's another revenue stream for something that somebody's doing and already creating. And they have these ideas that they can share with other people. So we wanted to support them in that way as well, too.
Yeah. It feels like it's like an Etsy or like kind of like an online farmer's market. You can go to the little vendors and pick like, oh, I need something on staff development, or oh, I need something on like tracking systems, or
Right.
there's different vendors and so the vendors are actual real principals and educators who have designed tools that work for them. And if it works for you, you're welcome to come and peruse and purchase if you want to. It's such a cool way of just being able to share our experiences, our wisdoms, like our little area of expertise in the world of education, and to allow people to benefit from that, from the tool that we've created. So I think it's brilliant.
Well, thank you. We hope so. And the vendors on there are awesome. And they've really thought of like even categories that we hadn't thought of to bring products in for. And we also say, like, if you don't see what you need on there, let us know, because there might be a vendor out there that's willing to create it or has something that they didn't think to put up on there. So it's just an ever evolving platform.
Yeah. It's almost like you're searching on Amazon and you're looking for whatever product it is that you need. And it sounds like it's into categories, and then they can look and see, and people have different, because what's one approach might work for one person, another one doesn't, but there might be multiple ways of doing it on, the platform, depending on what it is and who's sharing their information. So principals out there, if you're listening to this, you can participate in one of two ways. You can be a vendor. You might have resources you want to share, and you can get a percentage of income on that. Or you might be a shopper and you might be looking for some strategies. It sounds like mostly like tools, right? Like tangible things that you can. I think of teacher pay teachers, right? Where they go in and they can get actual downloadable materials for their classroom or for teaching and instruction and lesson planning or worksheets, that kind of a thing. So it sounds like it's a similar concept. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like that. It's very similar to that. And what we did was we had that mindset going into it, but we really wanted to make it so that like it was just for principals. That if you typed in like climate and culture builders or a data tracker, you're going to have a bunch of different options that come up that's related to your position and that's written by people who are in that position too. It was really important for us for people to really be able to understand what that feels like right now, to be able to support in that area. And so we really tried to create a space that was just a really big support system for our school leaders, because that was really important to us. The more we talked to them and we developed these relationships, like we just wanted to do something that could help them along on this journey. And we started a Facebook page and we started looking at what different things that like they like. And we found that there's a huge little niche of people out there that follow us that love just humor, some kind of like lighthearted way to end their day. And so we try to come up with stuff like that just to bring smiles and laughter to them, to lighten up some of the hard things that principals struggle and go through, like, because we know that's real, and anything we can do to kind of pick them up, that's where we're at.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we try on our page too to put things that like draw them to be able to share something funny that happened that day, or maybe even a struggle too, because like we said, teachers usually have those colleagues in their building, on their team or in their grade level or in their department that they can go to. But sometimes an admin team is isolated and you don't have that. So we really hope that our social pages and things that maybe like conferences that we're hoping to do in the future will really build not just the resources for principals, but also that community for them and that place of support and understanding of like-minded people that have the same struggles and can laugh at the same kind of things that maybe, if not, you're going to be crying about.
Yes. I know your story, but I would love for you to share your story. Like, what is your relationship with school leadership? Because I'm sure the listeners, you're saying they and them, and they're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So like, tell the story of your relationship as it relates to school leadership, the position of school leadership.
Sure. So starting like prior to either of these, like I kind of gave a little glimpse into earlier, both of us have our admin degree, and we've had that experience like in a school itself before coming out for Tailored and the Principal Exchange, and even being instructional coaches. I think that's when we first got a glimpse of where the lack of resources, because a lot of the times what we were doing when we weren't working with students and things was creating those resources for the principal in our building. And as we became more of the admin team, like seeing that those resources were missing. So it kind of started there. And then our relationship with principals and school leaders has really expanded as we've started with Tailored, as we're going around to support new teachers and do professional development and go to conferences through the lens of tailored education. We've talked with so many principals, and they've shared with us, that they are lacking in these resources. Or if we share something, oh, I never thought of that, and things like that.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time in school buildings now as more on like the consultant side of things. And so when we're working with brand new teachers who come in without licenses and helping them get through the steps to get there, we are working closely with those principals to see like who needs what, where are we. We try to be super aligned with coaching that we're giving, making sure it's aligned with school initiatives and stuff like that. And so in building these relationships with people, really, it's easy when you're in your own building to think like, is it just here? Is it just this district? Like, what happens if I go somewhere else? But we've now worked with many different, even states. We've been to several different states and worked with principals in so many school districts, and it's everywhere. And so when we really stepped out of that and saw like that it's everywhere, we were like, okay, we've got to help. We've got to help do something.
Yeah. And the reason I asked that question, just to reiterate it, is that sometimes principals and district leaders, we can think that if a person hasn't been in the position or hasn't served on the position, then they don't really know the position, which there is definitely a layer of truth to that. And why I love what these ladies are doing is that they're approaching supporting site and district leaders from the lens of instructional coaching, the lens of teaching, to be able to provide you as the leader with the tools that bridge between the leader and the teachers, and to help you from that lens of instructional coaching or from the lens of a teacher to really help you be a better leader, to help you have the tools you need in hand that will relate and be relevant to instructional coaches or to the classroom, so that it's not just principals leading the way, leading principals. It's a teamwork approach where we've got the instructional coach lens, we have the teacher lens, and the site administrator lens all coming together to share ideas, tools, strategies that will allow you to do your job to the best of your capacity, because you're looking through multiple lenses. It's not just this one area of focus, because I'm pretty particular. I understand that leaders are like, well, I don't want people coaching me if they haven't done the job. This isn't coaching. This is a marketplace. This is a venue for you to be able to go shopping and make your own decisions about what resources you need and which ones fit best. It's just the platform. They're providing the opportunity for you to go shopping and to have access to these resources that otherwise wouldn't be accessible. Like, they would be just kept in the hearts and the minds of the individual who created them. And you're giving people a voice and a space and a platform to share that, which then inspires other people to be like, what can I share? And now we've got a community of collaboration and connection and building up one another, focusing on strengths, focusing on what's working. And it all comes together through these multiple lenses.
That was a big thing. We moved from being classroom teachers into instructional coaches, and then we took on major school leadership roles when like COVID hit and people got spread out, and you had to step into those shoes, processing referrals, running IEP meetings, balancing frustrated parents, answering the phone calls, and just being there to step in all the time. And that lens thing that you were talking about is so important, because it's so easy for teachers to be like, well, they don't understand what I'm doing, or they don't care about how hard it is in my classroom. And as a school leader and as an instructional coach, a lot of times we found like, sometimes teachers can struggle to see the bigger picture, like more than just on their hallway. And we really tried to in all of the roles that we've had, bridge those gaps. Relationships has been our number one thing from day one before we even started any of this, and helping bridge those viewpoints and just let everyone see that we're all on the same team,
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's just little bits of information that get lost in the middle.
Right. And the team that we were on before we left the school, there were people from different backgrounds and stuff. So it was kind of, we brought all those pieces. But as we've traveled around, we see if you're the only principal in a school and you only came from one pathway, maybe the principal exchange platform can help you have those other lenses or bring those strengths that maybe you don't have yourself in from people who are really good at making data spreadsheets. And that's not your strength, but you don't have a big enough team to have somebody on that team that has that strength. So hopefully the platform itself can play off that as well and provide that for people who have a smaller team, or maybe they have the same strengths and they're looking for resources and things from people that come from those different viewpoints or that different pathway.
Yes. And another thing I love about this, like it takes teamwork to such a deeper level that we are all on the same team as educators, that we're all out there, regardless of what state we're in, what city we serve, what community, what school. We're all trying to do our best to serve kids in the best way possible. And what this does is it brings a layer of teamwork and collaboration that otherwise, like the way that the system's currently set up, it's like, who's the top school and what's the top score and principal of the year, teacher of the year. There's all of these, like, I don't know, accolades within the field. But what it does is it individualizes us and it separates us, and it doesn't build team. It builds like a competition almost. And this platform, it's a space where you can feel safe enough to come in and share openly and collaborate, but it's collaborating across the board, across states, across private, public, across, K through 12. Like it really is like a hub, like the town square, right?
Yeah.
A place where people can come and everyone's welcome and everyone's invited. And it's a place where you can actually support one another without feeling that there's any judgment or criticism or feedback or score or grades that you're trying to hide from or trying to better or one up or whatever, right? That competition piece gets dropped out in this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, what do you need? And we hope that's there for you, whether it's on the platform or this community we're trying to build right now through social media that hopefully transfers to like a conference with the same mindset where we hope principals are going to want to come in and they're going to be the ones presenting at this conference and sharing their ideas and what's going well in their schools and things. That's the future of where we hope this is leading to. And maybe someday like a podcast where principals can share their stories and things, all of that kind of community that we feel like exists in a very small place right now that we hope is a growing place for principals.
Yeah, that was the idea behind the name, is the principal exchange. We want principals exchanging and sharing and collaborating and bringing their successes and their struggles all together,
Right. Yeah. And I love seeing opportunities like this because when I was a principal, and that was only 10 years ago, it was completely isolated. There wasn't anything. Nobody was focusing on the school leader. It was the teachers, right? Everything was on instructional leadership, instructional coaching, support for new teachers. Like we had the New Teacher Center come in and provide like mentors for the first 2 years of teaching. But it was like, here are the keys, good luck.
Right.
Yep.
And that was it. And so I did that for 7 years before I saw a need. And my niche is definitely like, I'm a life and leadership coach. I'm a certified coach. So I've been in the job. I can coach on it, but I also mentor. But I'm working on time mastery, balance mastery, planning mastery, like emotional regulation. And so that is a coaching piece that the work is within, right?
Right.
This is like you get to go out into the world and you get to have that external exchange of ideas and connection and energy, right? You feed off of other people's energy and enthusiasm and excitement and ideas. And that adds to the experience for students, staff, and the principal, it's such a beautiful collaboration of the internal work that I do with school leaders and then the external like connection and collaboration that you guys are offering as a platform for them. It's beautiful to see that there's people out here like hey, paying attention to the school leader. Hey, there is a need that is significant here. No one person can, again, this is teamwork. There's no one person that can cover all aspects of this job or what it entails. And I love that you're coming in really from the lens of, I see the school principal struggling. I want to help them. I'm the instructional coach. I want to,
Right.
and they're telling me their version, their perspective. And now we can take our talent and perspective as an instructional coach and be like, hey, this is what we're good at. This is what we see that you might need that could really help you. And now we've got a true collaboration, not like there's collaborations. And I've witnessed this, like you're playing collaboration.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
There's what it looks like, and then there's what it is.
Right. You can try it, but does it actually work? And are both parts or all parts really involved? And sometimes that's the challenge.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, is this a safe environment? Do I trust people? Can I be somewhat vulnerable? Can I be honest? Most times it's no, we shut down. And so we play collaboration. But this sounds like it's an invitation for people, like they're putting their wares out for you, So again, like a market,
Right.
you take it or leave it, but it's a matter of like people are putting themselves out there for the benefit of the greater good, which I think it's an act in education that we need to tap back into.
Yes.
And I think also the vendors on our page are so awesome. And we weren't sure, when this started, how many people would be interested in this and who even had time, to do this and things like that. But they've been so awesome. And what I've also seen and what we've seen is as vendors put their resources out and there's great feedback on it and they have success with it, maybe that's helping with some of that burnout and things because they're thinking, oh, well, somebody else has used this and actually found value in it and it's made their day a little bit easier. And so we've seen that piece of it too. So that's been really neat.
Yeah. And, when we came into this, we ran into the idea of like, we also don't want principals like having to fork out a lot of their own money for this. So within the system, we've embedded places for like POs, there's W-9 forms, things you can print off so that you can use like school cards and school funds to pay for this stuff because it's going back to your school. It's to help your school leadership in your building. And we want this to not be like, well, can I or can't I? But we've really tried to think through all of the things that might be a hurdle in a principal's way. We're always open for feedback. So if anybody has any new ideas or is like, oh, this would also be awesome to see, it really is a space that we're trying to create just to support the school principal.
Yeah. So good. So if listeners are dying right now and they're like, I need to know all the details, all the information, give it to them. They're going to be flooding over there. So tell them all the things.
Sure. So the website's just theprincipalexchange.com. And when you go there, whether you're looking to be a vendor or whether you just want to check out all the resources that are already on there, the website is the same for that. We're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all of that's just the Principal Exchange as well. So we hope that, and there's so much value in there. Of course, we're posting and putting things, but value from other people and the vendors and things too. So it really is just a community that hopefully they'll follow and find beneficial.
Yes. Yeah. We'll put all of those links in the show notes so you guys can check them out. Do you have any last words of insight, of information that you want to share with the listeners out there?
I don't, we see you. Like, we see you out there doing the best you can every day. And we just hope that we can do a little bit to support you in return.
Keep doing great things because, everybody talks about teacher burnout and teacher turnover, but we see the principal burnout and the principal turnover, and we want to help that. We want to make this a better place and provide that support. So
Yeah. So listeners, I just want you to imagine having coaching and mentoring plus the Principal Exchange in your back pocket. You're going to be a rock star. It really take your school to new levels because you're going to be doing the work that I do, the work that they're offering. You're going to have the tools and the resources across the board. And that is what helps reduce burnout. It's what makes you feel more impactful, more influential, build up your legacy as a school leader, because this job is hard, but it doesn't have to feel hard. And the way that it feels less hard is when you're doing the internal work that you need to do, building up your leadership skills, building up your emotional capacity, your leadership capacity, and having the resources you need at your fingertips so you're not reinventing the wheel all of the time. It's what it feels like when you're in the position. So I feel like this combo is just like the triple crown of school leadership development and empowerment and resources. You have them at your fingertips. The links are in the show notes. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the meet and greet. We had so much fun on that. And I really do hope that this is the beginning of so much more availability in principal resources. This is just getting started, right? This is just the beginning of this program for you guys in this platform. And I can see it really turning into a thriving city market, like a little town square market, right? So
Right.
I invite people who are listening, if you've got ideas and strategies and you want to be able to share something, reach out to the Principal Exchange. I'm sure on your website, there's a place where they can get more information about being a vendor.
Yes.
And then if you just want to shop and window shop and take a look, you can do that too. So there's no harm, there's no foul.
Nope.
It's just pure support, pure fun. And I'm just thrilled to see these types of resources popping up for school leaders as they have been over the last decade for teachers. So thank you so much for this service. It's so desperately needed. I wish I'd had it 10 years ago, and I'll do everything I can to promote it, to get it into the hands of the people who need it most.
Well, thank you. And we really enjoyed being on today.
Thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. All right, empowered principals, have an amazing week. Don't forget, check out the Principal Exchange, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Take good care. Bye.
Hey, Empowered Principal. If you enjoy the content in this podcast, I invite you to join the Empowered Principal Collaborative. It's my latest offer for aspiring and current school leaders who want to experience exceptional impact and enjoy the school leadership experience. Look, you don't have to overwork and overexert to be a successful school leader. You'll be mentored weekly and surrounded by supportive, like-minded colleagues who truly understand what it means to be a school leader. So join us today and become a member of the only certified life and leadership coaching program for school leaders in the country. Just head on over to angelakellycoaching.com/work-with-me to learn more and join. I'll see you inside of the Empowered Principal Collaborative.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Empowered Principal Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to learn more, please visit angelakellycoaching.com, where you can sign up for weekly updates and learn more about the tools that will help you become an emotionally fit school leader.